It's a great day. We're glad you're back. This is Trinity Place, and this is Trinity Sunday. Void and darkness covered the face of the deep, while the wind from God swept over the face of the waters. Welcome back to Trinity Place. My name is Cameron Miller, and this is a sermon for Trinity Sunday. And obviously we begin with this reading from the first chapter of Genesis, which is also the first of two creation stories in Genesis, and also include the last verses in the Gospel of Matthew, in which Jesus is sending his friends and disciples away to go do what they're supposed to do, and he goes to do whatever he does. And our reading from Genesis that was kind of the Reader's Digest, abridged version, chopping out the step-by-step creation of a domed sky, big oceans, microbes and plankton and hairless dogs. And so skipping all the way from that wind sweeping over the waters to the part we like best, which is us. I did that because it's quite awkwardly written and repetitive, and if you're like me, there's only so much we can hear and still listen. But we have this grand sweep today from prehistoric Earth all the way to the moment that Jesus disappears for good, at least for now and as far as we know. And then if we take the next leap from Jesus' departure to Trinity Sunday 2023, we have this vast expanse of time from the human perspective, and we can also see the theological frame or theme of this human story. And that story is this: that God creates, and what God creates is good. It's not only good, it's good, 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 and good. That's 6 goods, except for Wednesday, which is a good day, perhaps anticipating God was the hump day of our work weeks. Anyway, the human story begins with a good creation and good human beings, both made male and female in the image of God. And then the story takes a turn. A tear or weed or invasive species somehow got sewn into the good creation, and bad stuff started happening. God tried again. He sort of wiped the chalkboard clean and started all over again with one family, but doggone it, the same thing started happening. God decided to let it play out this time and see what happens. Then God decided to intervene here and there and pretty soon everywhere. But the earth became a hot mess because of those humans, the ones who were created in the divine image. Think about that. Anyway, God sent some messengers, but they were ignored. And so God finally sent the messenger, and he was killed. And finally, God imparted the breath that began it all. The wind that blew over the face of the waters, he imparted that to the humans. It was as if to say, need guidance to do better, folks? Open yourself to that wind. It blows where it will, but you can catch the wind of it. And that pretty much brings us to now, at least from the perspective of the Christian theological story. I left out some details, of course, but the theme is there, bleeding through a long period of time. Theologians will argue about whether God got it wrong or intentionally wanted us to work harder at being good. And they will argue all day long about all kinds of things when it comes to that final messenger and whether he got it right or whether or not he's coming back and how and when. But still, the outline of the story, the arc of the tale I just told, is the basic narrative of Christianity. And it's interesting to me how true it is. I mean, really. I don't mean factual, as in God really did thus and such. I mean true, in that it just about wraps up perfectly, but not perfectly, the human experience. You see, we have this exceptionally magnificent creation, stunning beyond words. From this exquisite interdependence invisible to the undiscerning eye, that's woven into the most elemental fabric of the universe, all the way to the big vista values of mountains and oceans and stars. All of that in this creation is good, 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 and good, and good. And then, when it comes to the human beings we love, all those people we like to hang out with, we start to think, hey, human beings aren't so bad, they're pretty good. But take a few steps outside our front door and we don't have to go very far for us to meet those other human beings. They're not so good, we think to ourselves. God, why'd you create them? Can't you fix them? And then before you know it, Russia is bombing Ukraine, and competing generals put their armies against one another in Sudan. George Floyd is suffocated and children massacred in Uvalde. And on top of that, the magnificent, stunning earth is beginning to show signs of wear and tear and toxins and mining and carbon loading. And now we beg for the divine intervention to come again. And for that messenger to come back and make things right. The story we tell is actually the one we're living. Which came first, the story or the experience? Our story includes the imagined solution named in today's ending of Matthew's gospel. Go out and make all the nations Christian. Baptize everyone you meet. Oh, and don't forget to obey everything I told you. So, the history of Christianity is the colonization of the earth as far as empire could reach, baptizing people whether they wanted it or not. But as for doing what Jesus commanded, not so much. Even after all this time, we're still back at square one. The earth and the creation is good, 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 and good. But we are something less. And everything God and we have tried hasn't worked to make us better. So what are we to do in 2023 about human beings? Do we need a new story? Is there a story out there that will make us better, that will help us to become part of that good, good, good? Frankly, I think within reason our traditional theological story, at least in the outlines that I've just described, is just fine. But it really depends upon how we frame it. I think of it this way. We were created good, not perfect. We were never intended to be perfect, and the earth is not perfect either. There are things that happen naturally that do not create the optimum situation for life, and that in fact bring about extinctions even without human beings. We were created good and with the ability to discern between good and bad. That is a powerful skill. It's a superpower even, one that we take for granted until it suddenly goes missing. The ability to discern between good and bad, to even detail the criteria for the good and describe what is bad and what makes it bad, that's an amazing ability. How many creatures in the universe have that power? Not many, I would guess. While we look at the mess that we made because we know how bad it is and how much we wish it was only good, the ability to discern and choose for ourselves is a gift. We should never wish to give that away. There are no credible stories out there that tell us how to be only good, because we were not created to be perfect. So instead, Jesus gave us a story about how to manage the bad while nourishing the good. How to manage the bad and nourish the good. Included in that story is accessing a resource, which is that wind that swept over the waters in the beginning of creation. In our efforts to manage the bad and nourish the good, that wind is a tremendous resource. It's truly a powerful story, brimming with wisdom, that is as stunning at the dark dawn slowly weeping into light as it is with the sun setting in the evening. It doesn't get us perfection because we were not made for that. So we should not go looking for stories that offer perfection because they aren't real. I know we feel despair. We feel despair about the badness we've created and the badness that we feel saddled with. But you know, despair is a filter. It's a filter that we choose, not one that we're condemned to. As the poem says, darkness is part of our story, and it has its own wisdom to reveal. And so we must not insist on only the light of day. We must navigate the darkness as somehow part of our good. Well, that's enough storytelling. But remember, the story we tell matters. What story we tell to ourselves and to others really matters. So across this vast expanse of time that we have traveled, from the beginning when we're created male and female in the image of God, all the way to Uvalde, our task is to manage the good, or manage the bad, while nourishing the good. As Jesus prayed, we are to create a new and holy kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. But remember, if we ever get it built, it'll be just good, not perfect. Thanks. Peace be with you. Lisa.